It's been such a long time because I know we hung out a few times too, but I don't know, man. It's just weird. Do you get the... Okay, actually, this is a good way to start. I'm going to start like this. I listened to the first podcast that we did a little bit. Not the whole thing, but I was kind of scanning through. And we were talking about, how you got to be where you are and the whole path and blah, blah, blah. And you were talking about this moment when you moved from Minnesota to LA and all of a sudden started meeting all these people that you had only known on the internet before. And you started listing off, all these people who were, at the time, big names in the growing trap scene in dance music and all that. And all these names, friends of mine too. And it was weird listening back now because a lot of those people are gone, like not doing it anymore, moved on, or I don't even know what happened to them, that kind of thing. And then just thinking about like seeing you again, man, it's because you and I knew each other when, it was very different. We were much younger, just starting off, all that kind of thing. And then it's not like we stayed in close touch over the years, but we would see each other every once in a while. And I don't know, does it kind of trip you out to think about all the people who used to be around who aren't around anymore?
I think that's the thing that trips me out the most. I think that's like getting my first start, right? Like Adventure Club played my first, I think, remix to one of their songs. And like we went out to their show, I think in like Minnesota or some, and like that was a milestone. And then, on tour with Mayhem and Anti-Serum, and I don't know how to pronounce it, but like
Anti-Serum, yeah.
And then like Loud Pack, and then like now, then like what's going on? Like who's where and what is it? Like I still like keep some tabs on some people, like doing some like rap stuff in Atlanta or, doing some whatever over here. Like they're doing their thing still. They're like crushing it in their thing. But like the industry, like white splits so often. And it's white splitting right now. And a lot of people aren't really paying attention to it yet. But when you look back, you're like, whoa, what happened with so-and-so?
It's true, yeah. And it's funny because we can look back and be like, that was the moment, or this was the period when it was happening and things were changing and we didn't know it at the time. What do you think, out of curiosity, if you're talking about anything specifically, what's happening right now that you're noticing that you feel like might be significant later?
I mean, dude, we had a lot of, I guess in the career or like in the industry or in the scene, whatever you want to call it, you'll have your Fred-agains pop up, right? And then all of a sudden, what happened? Because back then, 10 years ago, that's the Fred-again of 10 years ago. That's the so-and-so of this time. And then you're like, oh, what? And there's so many artists like that just come and go for personal reasons or for creative reasons or whatever. But I think that is something where I like dance music a lot. I don't see myself going anywhere else. I'll always be doing it in some way, shape, or form. And there's waves, there's ripples, there's eras, there's timing is everything. Like we, tracks dropped in summer 2016. Tracks dropped, early 2018. Like there's something about that. And I don't know if you could plan it or I don't know if you can't, but it just kind of leaves a mark.
Well, am I right? Not to cut you off, but I feel like a theme in Boombox Cartel lore is that a lot of your tracks aren't appreciated right away and then blow up later, just to talk about that timing aspect.
Yeah. I mean, dude, if it feels good now and it's in your computer for a while and then you replay it a year later, 2 years later, and it still feels good, that means when it comes out that, you know what, it might have a shelf life of like a bottle of wine versus, anything else.
Yeah.
So I think that's been the major like quality control feature within Boombox Cartel, that like if you could listen to it at night, during the day, in the morning, 2 years later and 4 years later, I mean, those IDs are still putting in some work, so might as well them to come out. So I don't know if I don't personally want to be like, oh, just make something and release it years later or months later. But it's just, there's something about timing, feeling, and I don't know how to explain it, but
well, how do you know when it feels right? If there's a song you think is special, and I bet this has happened to you at least once or twice in your career, where you make a song that you think is special, or you think there's something there, but maybe it's, for whatever reason, it's not the right time, or the stars aren't aligned. That's such a difficult thing to do, because you're right that timing is everything. Incredible songs get released every day that nobody hears for whatever reason. How do you know? Have you figured out anything about that over the years?
I think being in it for a while, like you see the waves of like how like intensity of genres. It's the simple dubstep that goes into the more screechy dubstep, into the louder dubstep, into the heavy metal dubstep.
Yeah.
And then what is going to happen after that? People are going to go back to the simple drums. People are going to go back to the tiny snares. People are going to go back to it's all you ram it again. You nuke it. What's going to happen? You have wasteland. You have like you start from scratch. So I think if you could time that, if you could time look at this wobble, this nice like sine wave wobble into the, screechy stuff. This melodic, and it gets higher and higher, high pitch, high screechier, intensity, distortion. Like, you know what? And this, I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right, but like this Hamdi.
Like, I think it's Hamdi. Yeah.
Just percussions, bass, and a little vocal.
Perfect.
And we're back to square one. Same thing, like trap had a big come up like that. Like it was introduced, or what I remember it being around like the Uzi, like, festival trap, because big room house was popping off back then.
Oh yeah. And
dude, I was sick of big room house, dude. I was like, man, why I don't get it. So
they ran out of ideas. That was the thing with Big Room, was because I remember when it first came out and it felt really fresh. Because kind of like what you were saying with Uzi and even with Hamdi, the original Dutch Big Room house, there were like 3 elements and that was it. And it was so weird and crazy. All the early Afrojack stuff, that was so cool. And you're right. Then they nuked it, just like what you were saying. And that one burned out kind of fast. I agree. So
that was, it kept getting louder, faster. The Priada snare, that. And then Martin Garrix's Animals, right? Kick drum, percussive, tiny little everything, suck the air out of the room. And, that's energy too. And we had that wave with B2U.
Yeah.
Where it was like rowdy festival trap. And then all of a sudden, we were playing around and we didn't have anything for a drop. So it was the most like, dude, this sounds so stupid, but like there's something here. Like, and it was just notes falling down, and it slowed everything down after a crazy big buildup, because everyone was used to these big buildups and everyone was ready for the big energy. 808, the lead sound, and a couple percussive drums, and I think we timed that perfectly, because it kind of slowed everything back down. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, but it just keeps everything fresh.
But even that track took a little while to catch on, right? Because I remember like you were saying no labels wanted it originally, all that.
A hair too early, man. A hair too early. Like we got denied by a bunch of people. Put this out. Is this complete? Is this done? It sounds unfinished. And they're like, wow, dude, these like suits are telling us musicians how it's supposed to sound. And ever since that, man, that lecture, that learning, that what I learned from that was let artists do their thing with their own career. If they want to ruin their own career, if they want to take it to the next level, hey, man, this sounds better to you. That's all you.
Well, right.
I don't want you to talk about me 10 years later.
Yeah,
telling me that I said like, yo, this sounds. I'm like, dude, it feels good. I like this. Is this final version? Like, let me play it out. Okay. You know what? I'm gonna believe in you. I'm gonna trust you. And
well, that's the thing, because we can't you're the only person who can see what's inside your head, and you can tell somebody about it and you can show them examples, you can play them songs, but none of that is the same as being inside your head and seeing how all the pieces fit together. And you're right that's something we got to remind ourselves too when we're listening to other people's music is, maybe you don't get it the first time, the second time, the third time. But if you trust that artist, you gotta keep going. Even if you never get it, try the next song. It's one of those weird things. And to go back to something you just said before I forget, you were talking about those songs that suck the air out of the room and how Animals did that, BTU does that. And there's something to that. You reminded me of this quote I really love from LP, the rapper, who's half of Run the Jewels. He, I can't remember. I think he said this on a track once, but he said, even when I say nothing, it's a beautiful use of negative space, which I think about that all the time, that like silence and quiet moments, if you do it right, can be just as powerful, even in something like dance music and people don't
totally agree.
Yeah. It's a slept on thing that I think you've done a lot with in your career.
I think that's one of the most important things. I think it should be 50-50. Like you should let the same amount of noise you have in a song, you should have the same amount of just peace and quiet, or the space in between the notes. Like a lot of people say like, hey, do we like these notes or do we like the space in between the notes? It's right. It's 50-50. Yeah. You can make a really cool sound. You could be the best sound designer in the world. But if you don't put a nice reverb or a nice little phaser or something that'll like tickle your ears out into silence, I mean, how intricate is this sound? You have to have the perfect balance of loudness, silence, creativity, distortion. And I think it's just super slept on. And I think I'm getting burnt out, like hearing all this like really loud stuff in your face. And I'm like, dude, oh my God. Like there's some bangers that are like right on the edge where they have these huge gaps and they have some nice, cool, like bass sounds, good leads and stuff. And like, there's a lot of really well balanced stuff, but so much more like just nuked stuff.
Was some of that fatigue, which everyone listening, me and anybody else, can relate to that kind of fatigue of just being like, I love this music, but we gotta, you can't just eat candy all day long, right? Like you gotta have a balanced meal. Is part of that what led you to doing the Boxcar project?
That's literally it, man. You spot on. The reason why that started is so I could do Boombox for as long as I could. And so I could kind of regroup, learn new things, try new things, and not like fully change the path of Boombox. Like we have something there. Like that's something that, comfort food. I'm not going to do some crazies. I'm going to keep that as comfort food. Yeah. And Boxcar is something different. Maybe some 4 on the floor, just vibes, all sorts of genres within 4 on the floor. Maintaining the same formula for Boombox, but just twice as many kick drums, I think.
That's a great way to put it, man. It felt like more of a personal project too. Like, was it more of, because, you know, Boombox obviously is collaboration, you and Jorge and whoever, you know, you work with, amazing singers and all that sort of thing. The Boxcar project felt a little more personal. I don't know if this is true or not, but was this you doing more of the writing?
Yeah, it's me doing all of the writing.
Okay.
And I think one of my, most negative features, or I view it as negative, is that I can't sit still. I create all sorts of stuff. My attention span is pretty short. And that's why I kind of create this like wave of ideas. Maybe they're like trap. And then I'll be like, oh, I'm on some other stuff. And then I'll revisit it when I'm on the trap wave again. So I'll check back into when I was in a trap wave before, and I'll gather those trap ideas, and then set them aside for Boombox, go in, fine tune everything, mix, master, write, involve people that need to be involved. But yeah, Boxcar is solely just like when the valley dips away from trap into like, okay, it's 9 a.m. I'm not going to make like screechy basses. I'm not going to make anything, you know, punchy. I'm just going to make something that I could vibe to, something, you know, just being outdoors more, touring less, just really kind of makes you see 99% of the other people that don't listen to your hard, like, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
that's a good point.
Like, we're in a tiny little, we're in a little raisin in this world to like what other people listen to. And we just can't get these egos. And we're like, yeah, I'm the hottest shit. I'm the trap. I'm one of the trap guys. Like, dude, there's, you know, funk is having a moment on Spotify. Like, these like lo-fi dudes are having a moment. Like, we should get inspired by anything and everything we can hear. I think that's the goal of Boxcar.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's interesting thinking about the idea of artistic evolution that way, right? Because theoretically, you're only getting better as a producer and a musician as you go through this career. You're, you know, if you keep learning and keep growing and all of that, you should just be getting better and better in terms of like your taste level, your understanding of cultural context and how the sounds fit together, and, you know, being able to put together the puzzle pieces. But at the same time, if you're having a successful career, you know, you're going to start getting boxed in and people are going to start expecting less range from you in a weird way. You know, unless you're like like a Bjork or somebody who just, you know, reinvents it every time. But that, yeah, it's a weird issue. I mean, did you start to feel that with Boombox at certain points? Because I mean, I was going through your whole Boombox discography, and I mean, obviously, like a lot of it fits into sort of that trap mold, but it's a lot more diverse than some.
People think, yeah. So some people will listen to Moon Love and then be like, yo, like this, I love Boombox. Like, this is sick. But then they'll listen to People I Know and then they'll be like, is this the same person? And then they'll listen to, you know, one of the remixes, like the Diplo remix or the How to Love remix. And so Boombox has never been like a one-trick pony. It's always been diverse, but we have a pretty consistent like family that like follows the sound. And I'll play People I Know at the end of a set. People, you know, they'll sing it, they'll stick around, play Moon Love. Everyone's hyped up, bring them back down to this other stuff. And I think fans are smart, dude. Yeah. Fans are smart, getting smarter. They know stuff. They know the sounds. They know the rhythms. They know the samples they've been hearing. They know what sounds corny. They know what doesn't sound corny. So I'm very fortunate that there's a following for the diverse sound that Boombox is.
How was the Boxcar show you did, the one-off live show?
Dude, it was so much fun. It was like half the pace. It was let songs play out.
Yeah. Which has
just
got to
like-
feel so nice.
And then like less phones in the crowd. You could just see everyone like not just crowded and just want to be at the front. Like it's like they're waiting for something.
Yeah.
Everyone is spaced out nice enough to like dance, but like close enough. And then you see a crowd move that's dancing. You see a crowd like on the Boombox shows, you see a moshing, packed, energetic crowd. And you just see people like jump in. You see people doing backflips in the crowd. Here at this show, this first Boxcar show, people were just vibing, dude. And it's a different energy. I'm not going to say it's worse or better. I'm just going to say like, yo, it was very pleasant, very pleasant.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I mean, listening to the Boxcar material, and, by the time I think people are hearing this, it'll either be sort of right before or right after you drop the whole project. But I love it, man, because it felt intimate and personal to me, but it didn't really feel like you were jumping on the wave of just everything getting a little deeper right now. Like, it is a deeper project, but just I guess what I'm talking about is sort of the specificity of the references and the genres you were referencing and the little touches, like, to me, and correct me if any of this doesn't jive with how you see the project, but to me, it didn't feel like I didn't see like a tech house influence. I didn't see sort of the trendy influence. It was kind of this really interesting, like indie techno. There's like almost some of the percussion stuff was like a little industrial, some 90s influences, some prog stuff. I don't know. It was very interesting, man. I wanted to ask you, how much of it was sort of an intentional, I'm going to make this sound, and how much of it was sort of what you were saying earlier, like I sit down when I'm just feeling chilled out, I make some stuff, and then later on you realize, hey, there's sort of a through line to a lot of the stuff I've been making.
Dude, it makes me so happy to hear that those references you're saying is exactly what I was going for. I've ghost produced a ton of tech house. I've done all that BS. Yeah. It's cool. It's loud. It's hype. It's, shakers, percussion, like Latin vocals, whatever you want to call it. But I don't know if a lot of people know, but back in 2015, 2016, I started this project called Low Key. I made an EP and I uploaded some stuff to SoundCloud. I probably like reposted on the Boombox page here and there, but it was like garage. It was like big drum stuff and like weird bass noises. A lot different to this Boxcar sound, but like I've always really enjoyed that, like Cause and Effect, Chris Lorenzo, like techno, psytrance, from living in Mexico. Like there's a special place in my heart for that type of style, that type of genre, that type of approach, where it's now I know so much producing. Like I've learned so much producing, and I roll off all the low end on some vocals, and I clean out my snares, and I clean this and make this so crispy and perfect and in tune and everything. And I just remember being so new to everything, not doing that.
Yeah.
And like the grunginess of the newbiness, like there's something to that. And I wanted to relive the grunginess and like the unquantized and the, if the sample's dirty, the sample's dirty. That's what I want to, I do anything to relive the new, the first.
Oh man.
So, remind me if I fell off track of your question, but
this is great.
The goal of Boxcar was to like, I'm technically new to this in the public, to the public. Like I've dabbled here and there, but I've never like done it. I've never released a mix or mastered like this weird industrial, like breakbeat, indie, whatever you want to call it. I've never even thought of like releasing any of this. So, 13 songs later of just creating, feeling good, waking up, feeling good about it, like being in a good mood. Like I'm not blowing my eardrums over a snare drum. I'm not like trying to get the crispy something like, and I'm like, yo, I could still listen to this. The song's already done. I could still listen to it. That's what I've been going for this boxcar thing. And I have like 5 remixes done. We're trying to get them cleared. Of like classics that I grew up with, classics that I heard when I was younger. So just trying to create a new ripple, trying to do something different.
Well, because it's freeing too, right? Like I think what I'm hearing from you too is like that's got to feel great this far into a career. Because Boombox Cartel, I mean, we've talked about it. People, whatever their image of Boombox Cartel is, they have an image of it, right? And now you're doing something where people don't have any image, and it could be anything. And I think there's something about just going back to the beginning, trying to feel free, because you don't have to worry about it. If it doesn't, it's great music, but say everything goes wrong and it doesn't work out, it's like, oh well, like
at least try it, man. I tell this to everyone, like, you know what, let it fail. I'd rather have something fail than something like, oh, nothing happened. Because then this is not it. Of course. Know that, because I don't want to be 50, 60 years old and say, man, I should have dropped that techno stuff I had.
Yeah. And to be clear, I'm not saying that in any way that's what I think is going to happen, but I'm just saying the fact that there's no baggage tied to it has got to feel great.
And within Boombox, like there's some baggage, dude. There's some tracks that I've worked on, some big records that I've worked on. And there's like, this rapper has a release that has an album coming out. So all these days are blocked off. You need to find windows and releases. You need to find, there's so much like, the marketing team wants to, work on this day, or they want to do a video for it. And only the director has these days available. So Boombox is at a point where we're just puzzle building, and we're a team of 5 that's here in the house. Like, Olivia, my girlfriend, she's a part of the company.
Yeah. Shout out to, I miss Olivia too, man. Tell her I said hi, please.
Absolutely, man. And then like Baez, like tour manager, A&R for the label. So we get together at the house and just kind of, we're sending out emails. It's like a corporate job at this point. And I got so frustrated. I'm like, dude, I'm so sick of this. I'm so sick of just trying to clear stuff. And, working with artists, and then they kind of go under the radar, or they blow up too much that I, can't even release this song anymore. And I don't want that to happen to Boxcar. I just genuinely want to do everything myself. And, whoever's on board is on board, but just the hurry up and wait factor. Like once you're established and once you're deep in, it gets tighter and tighter. And it's kind of like a corporate war zone. So it's true, man. I mean, people don't know, I think, how many emails go into the release of some of their favorite songs. It's like the nitty gritty of it is not it's not a pretty sight. No, man. And then you go in, like living in Minnesota, right? Like, yo, I'm gonna get in the studio with so-and-so, and you work on it. And then back in the day, you upload it to SoundCloud. Like, let me just repost it, or just let me upload it, or just put my name first, or you put your name first. And that was it. It was like, cool.
Yeah.
And then you'll play some shows here and there, and then everyone's stoked. But now label clearance, label waiver, marketing team, manager has an ego, no manager, artist lives in somewhere Kentucky and he doesn't even log into his socials, or like you're kind of working for the FBI. You're just clicking away emails, detectives, finding out who wrote this. You work with a writer. Oh, sorry, that writer's working for Drake now. They don't want to put out that vocal anymore.
Yeah.
Like, so.
Yeah, it can happen so many different ways, which makes me want to ask you, you've got a label now.
Yeah.
So I mean, and you were talking earlier about sort of the not needing a label, wanting to tell like the younger you that, you just drop it, don't listen to the suits, that kind of thing. I mean, take me through the whole process, because I haven't talked to you since you started the label. Like, what was the thought process to be like, I want to do this now, let's start this now? And then, what was the learning curve? Like, I'm sure starting it must be crazy. I'm sure you learned a lot. Still
learning, by the way. The label just mostly for Boombox. Like, Boombox is fully independent. We just go through a distribution company. All they do is they submit the music to Spotify, Apple Music, and all of that. And we just help with the branding, with the PR. We help with, putting the song to the right ears and empowering artists. Like, not just for me, but like we empower artists where they're like, hey, I have this song. I have, 200 followers, and I want this to come out. They don't know where to start. They could obviously go to TuneCore. They could go to all those other companies that'll do it for like a certain cost. But if I like the song, if they're interested in releasing it with us, and I get to play it out, we're like, hey man, let's promote this. Let's rinse it out in some Boombox sets. Maybe get some other homies to remix it, and we'll throw it in the festival circuit in some sets. We'll make some edits to it, and just kind of like, it's like a Kickstarter label. Like, it's something, some artists, they could do their own thing whenever they want. Like, we're here to empower them and start them up, get them a little budget for like any lyric videos they would want to do, or stuff that we didn't do back in the SoundCloud days. We just kind of made an artwork on like, Photoshop and just whatever, and whatever happens. But, now we have a little network of other producers, other DJs that we send these songs out to. So it's kind of like a slingshot. It's kind of like a little kickstart for young talent. And it's hard to go. I think I've said this before, things multiply. So if you have one fan, to get the second fan is hard.
Yeah.
To get the fourth fan is hard. And then, you're at 10,000 followers, 20,000, it feels steep. So everything just multiplies, and we're here to cover a few of those steps to put the artists in the right place to go wherever they want.
Yeah, well, it seems like you've been working with, some people who are really starting to catch a buzz themselves at this point. Like, shout out a few people on the label who you're excited about right now, because I can think of a couple, but I'm sure I'm missing some.
Yeah, so we don't like fully sign people. We don't fully lock them in. We do single songs, or we'll do like a 2-track EP. We have, I think, I don't know how many tracks he's adding to it, but we have Holly on there. He's collaborating with a bunch of other artists, other Monta artists. We have a CLB record. We have, Frost Top. We're having him make a VIP to that song. Aleko.
There's a
Jay
bunch,
Purcell.
man.
Jay Purcell, I just heard of him. I might be pronouncing his name super wrong, but we told him like, dude, you need to take your Instagram. His Instagram's private.
Oh no.
His profile picture is like a plugin. I'm like, dude, you're like, this stuff is like fire. Like and I told Olivia, like, yo, maybe have him, put a little picture of himself as the profile picture, and, just so people can know who to follow. Like, this is a pretty cool song.
That's funny, man. Having the Insta on private. I love that.
Yeah, just like a lot of those, but like they don't know. You don't know that.
That's the thing. And we didn't know, It's like it's nice. Like, I'm sure if I look back at all the things I was doing when I was, 10 years ago, whatever, it's like, God, I didn't know anything. It's like, what was I doing? Do you ever look back at your own career that way and just be like, how did this even work? Like, why? It's so improbable given how, and I'm just speaking about myself, but just like, given how dumb I was and how many mistakes I was making, it's really improbable that I'm still here.
Well, dude, it's just we're still learning. We're still going through all this stuff. You learn something new every day because everything changes. Everything changes. Hey, SoundCloud. Hey, Spotify. Hey, playlisting. Hey, TikTok.
Yeah.
Hey, Facebook ads. Everything is new. Everything is new.
How are you with social media in this day and age? Like because we all feel a certain pressure to stay in the game, you got to promote your shit. You got to get it out there in the best way possible. But I think you, like me, are someone who doesn't love the, put your entire life out there kind of thing. What am I trying to say here? I think a lot of people either take one of two routes, right? Like it's either you post 20 Instagram stories a day, every little thing, everyone knows everything about your life, and you sort of just become an online personality, or you really try to keep some distance. And I think that's what feels better to me. But I think then it's also harder to feel like you're doing your work the best that you can, Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I personally hate it, respectfully. Like it's just being a musician and learning how to mix and master your own stuff, music theory, like already knowing all that is hard by itself. I just don't see myself learning these new algorithms or these new tips or these new Instagram. Oh, you should be doing this and you should be doing that. And I just don't. I didn't sign up. I didn't choose this career to do that.
Yeah.
I that's the actual opposite. Actually, I chose this career to not have to do any technical like posting, updating, and typing things out. Like this is music. If you're an interesting person, if you're a good looking, interesting person, funny, whatever, like go for it. That is that's going to help you elevate your career. Actually, if you have it, go for it. If you're, you could see all these artists, like some artists, post a shirtless picture of themselves and, they'll get 100,000 likes and they'll talk about their album on the next post and it'll probably get 1,000 likes. Like it's sad for like other people too. Like they want to promote their music and they only care about what they look like. So I kind of want to be known for just, music, and maybe just I'll update the fans whenever they need to be updated. I'll occasionally snap sometimes of what I'm doing, where I'm at. But I don't know. It's just like digital pollution. I think for me to put everything out there, like I'm just one person out of how many billions we are, 8 billion almost. Like it's a lot of just zeros and ones, like flying back and forth.
I love that idea of digital pollution, man. That's exactly what it is. I'm like, does it really have to get to a point where I'm so close to making a third person social media account where we just give the intern the phone and be like, yo, Americo's fucking sad today. Or Americo's going to eat. Yeah.
Americo's he's driving away. We don't know where he's going, but he's driving. Right. Or just to update everyone if it need be. But it's a lot of work. And some of these companies have to hire 2 people, one person to make the videos and edit the videos and another person to post them.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah. Someone hired just to post the videos. That's so crazy.
Salary these days, but some people want $80,000 a year. Some people want, they're entitled to what they think they deserve. But oh my God, imagine trying to find $100,000 just for social media.
And some people do, man. Oh man. Let me ask you though, because I'm with you on all of this. I'm very with you, but I want to ask you, do you feel a pressure? Because a lot of conversations I have on this podcast these days come back to this idea of like a lot of people feeling like they just have to do it. Like if you want to do music now, this is just part of the game and you have to embrace it. And I don't, truthfully, I don't like that attitude. I'm open to being wrong, that maybe I should take another look at that attitude. But
I'm on the same page here. Like I, of course, feel a pressure to do that because, wow, everyone else is doing it. But at the end of the day, like if you're selling tickets, I think that's ultimately the currency here.
Yes.
There's some people, I mean, you could even look at, I'm just going to random name, Disclosure, right?
Yeah.
Do you remember the last Instagram story Disclosure posted?
Nah.
Maybe not. I don't. But you know what? If they're going to go play at the Hollywood Bowl or at the Shrine or somewhere or whatever arena they could sell out 20 times, I'll be there.
100%.
I don't need to view their story to buy a $80 ticket to go see them. Like, I know they're working on their stuff. That's why I'm more inclined to pay $80 to $100 to go see them than someone who's just like, oh, I know what he ate today. Like, let me go pay $150 to go see him DJ. Like, it just kind of give or take. So if you're pulling from something, you're going to have to let go of something else.
Well, and that's what I want to, I'm way too dumb to like crack the secret of this, but I know for a fact that there is still a ton of value in mystery and a ton of value in scarcity. And I know Disclosure being a good example, as good as any other, of like, they're not in your face all the time, but because you love what they do, you're intrigued about what they're going to do next. And then if they come back, it's more exciting because they've been gone. And I don't know how to tell a kid who's just starting sort of how to sort of perfectly navigate that maze to get yourself to that point. But I know it can be done. And I just get mad when people say there's sort of only one way to do it, you know?
Yeah. Dude, and some agents are in that mindset where like, you're not posting, we're not going to book you. Like, dude, this person sold 5,000 tickets in LA. What do you mean you can't book them to a show? And what do you mean he's not on a festival? Because he's not posting, or because he hasn't dropped a song in 3 weeks? Like,
yeah,
let it ring out. Like, I don't know what this hurry up and go mentality and like, oh, your TikTok's a little dead. Like, well, dude, like, who cares what that person made for lunch? Like, Let him cook on his album. Let him work on this thing that is going to make him the next big thing. That he really believes in that album enough to not post.
Yeah, right. And also stop distracting that person. You know, even again, I think we're coming back to some of these same themes. So it's like, if they're going to fail, let them fail the way they want to do it, you know?
And that's their image. That's what they were thinking of doing. Then let it be. You can't alter their path.
Yeah, man.
There's this like little syndrome going around, like with like the younger acts, when they start like being very cautious and tippy-toey before they even have like a sound or before they have anything established. They start being very distant and very like, that's great. I like that, but it might take you longer to get where you want to be. So maybe at the beginning, it would be nice for artists to just throw stuff at the wall. Like, dude, you're really funny. And like your music is like, all right, like stick to the funny stuff a lot more. And then everything will come together.
Right.
Or like, you know what? Your mixes are really fire. Your songs are all right. Keep doing those mixes. So people need to find their balance. And you can't act like Daft Punk day one of your career.
Right.
Like, you have to like put out some stuff that doesn't work. You have to put out this. You have to release some merch. You got to release some vinyl. You got to do pre-orders. You got to do the tickets. You got to sell out stuff. You got to undersell stuff. You got to go through all of that before you could like, blacking out my socials, or I'm taking a step back. I'm quitting. Like, just try it all first. Don't see the big dogs, and don't see the big dogs doing like, they're gone for years and years and years. You know, the little guys, it's better to be risky when you're starting off. I think that's my point. And enjoy that moment, because, you know, it doesn't matter. Like, a lot of people don't even know like the what the fuck is Trap Festival like stuff that Boombox was on early on. It really helped the career. Kind of corny, but like, dude, we figured it out. We found the sound. We thought, oh, like, you know what? Less this, more that helped us become the artists we are today.
Yeah, dude. I mean, you and I were on the same stage of some very dodgy events, you know?
Like, yeah.
Yo,
I mean, it was a unique opportunity, man. But we did it, dude.
let me ask you actually to flip this idea, because this is actually a great event. But did you ever do the Grid Life Festival?
No, what is
Grid Life is like drift racing and music together.
Oh,
dude,
that sounds amazing.
If you haven't done it, you gotta do it because you're a car guy anyway, right?
I love it.
Yeah, just thinking about like weird concept festivals. It's Grid Life. It started in the Midwest. It's like it's an old homie of like me and Kurt and a bunch of people that we all know. They still do it. They're huge now. They do them in a couple different places in the country. Anyway, I'll send you it later, but I think you would love it. But I wanted to ask you, this just reminded me, the car thing. How far back does that go? Is boxcar like a reference to boxcar racing?
No, well, boxcar, the first thing we thought of, like, it's just simple, and it's just like the soul, or like just soul music. So it's the inside of Boombox Cartel.
Ah, okay.
So if you cut out the sides, you cut out all the outsides, so it's just boxcar. But I mean, I grew up motocross, I grew up go-karts, I grew up with all that stuff, and very fortunate to have some friends that really enjoy the motorsports aspect, and they have some really cool cars that we get to go out and shred in a private racetrack with some really, really nice cars. And it's like being a kid again. That feeling never goes away. Driving a car really fast and having a helmet on and a roll cage and strapped in and everything. Like, it's like everyone's dream. I want to be a race car driver.
Are you tinkering with them too? Are you like a car tinkering guy?
Well, it's like there's this track in the desert, and it's like it's a private track. Like, imagine a golf course, but minus the golf.
Yeah.
And you add a racetrack with like garages, a clubhouse, like sushi, like it's very it's like the high end, like ultra rich stuff. And I'm very thankful to just be invited.
Yeah.
And these massive houses, these 20 car garages, and just Porsches, Ferraris, and all you get. I've never experienced anything like that. And so yeah, it's just like these people just racing cars on a Wednesday at like 2 p.m. Like,
sounds great, man.
They're living the dream, man, honestly. So it just is a fun thing, and I'm a fan. I'm a fan of it.
Well, dude, thank you for saying that. I talk about this on the podcast all the time. It makes me sad when I meet producers and DJs who are so deep in the game that they kind of stopped being a fan of other stuff, or stopped having outside passions or hobbies or that sort of thing. And, you know, I'm not talking about anyone specifically, but I'm just always like, man, that kind of stuff is like what makes life worth living. Like, we do music because we love it, but you got to still be able to just be a fan of something.
Of course, dude. Like, you know, even if you don't like sports, that's fine. But like, dude, like, I don't know, hiking or something, or
anything.
Could literally be anything. And I think that's what motivates me a lot. I'm a big hobby guy. You know, I recently picked up cycling.
Okay.
Just, you know, to stay in shape. But you're in your head, you're talking to yourself while you're riding a bike, and then it just helps you so much to just get better. Just even having some internal monologue with yourself just goes a long way, and clears your vision, gets you hyped up.
Isn't it weird how when you're doing something like cycling, and I'm a gym guy, I'm in there at like almost every day, and it's a funny thing because it's something about doing that activity, pushing your body a little bit, occupying sort of the immediate part of your brain. It's so strange how the back half of your brain sort of just in the background can solve a bunch of creative problems that you couldn't solve, like if you were just sitting there looking at it, you know? I still don't understand how that works, but it's such a crazy thing. You got to get out of your own way.
Yeah, I remember driving the one of those race cars in the track, and I was like, "Yo, I know why the Masters clipping is because I left." I was like, "My dumbass," and then I just keep driving, and then by the time I get home, we packed everything up. We got home, and I was like, "Dude, this whole time that project file had the vocals with the reverb printed onto it." So the reverb was taking up all these like other roomy frequencies. And I was like, why is it clipping? Why can't I fit more like, and I was like, dude, oh my God. Like not even thinking about it. You're just talking to stuff or just looking at stuff. It opens everything up.
Yeah, it's so crazy, man. And I think the same is true, I think, too, not even just for creative stuff, but almost just for, emotional stuff, mental stuff. If you're feeling bad, like, I don't know. I tend towards anxiety. I feel like you and I at some point talked about how you can get stressed out sometimes. And it's one of those things. Well, let me just ask you. I mean, how are you with all that now? Have you, outside of like hobbies and shit, have you found new ways to deal with it? Like just in general, because I think the more you're doing in this career, the more the stress level goes up,
Yeah. Well, like early on, I think our first interview, like I was like fully married to the game. Obviously, my whole day was boombox this. And when I wasn't producing, I was DJing. And when I wasn't DJing, I was networking. And when I wasn't networking, I was doing PR or photo. Like it was everything. Full boombox. Nowadays, you get to a point where I don't want to keep using that word burnt out, but like there's a time where you're just doing that so often and so much, and it feels like a cycle.
Yeah.
You get tired of it. So you seek hobbies, you seek the gym, you seek something different. And that also comes with like another group of friends, because all of my friends were pretty much industry people. And, trying to go out on a Sunday morning for brunch with a ton of DJs, everyone wearing black.
Yeah.
And like we all show up to this really nice brunch spot, and then just like 3 black Teslas and everyone dressed black and sleep deprived and everything. Damn, dude, my squad is like insomniac AF. Like
we got some issues here.
we got some stuff going on. So you open yourself up to a new group of friends, new perspectives. I have all my DJ homies I'm still super tight with, but the group of friends that you unlock with your other hobbies or the other events you go to, and you get a different perspective of music. Like, oh wow, you like, what do you do? I'm a musician. Oh, like what type of music? Like, oh, it's like trap. Like, oh, I've never heard of it. Like, really?
Yeah.
Like that gets you excited.
Oh, I love that. I love hearing that. Yeah.
And oh, okay, well, I like this type of music. And then they play you something. You're like, oh wow, that's kind of corny. And then, but you're like, you know what? Let me give it a shot. Let me try it out. Let me kind of get in this survey, this like general survey pool of listeners. So you open your ears to more artists, different artists, and you kind of get a better sense of where the world is at, not just where the scene is at. So I think it's always very important to kind of dip your hands in the scene, and then, you go back to, all right, I'm going to go, I don't want to use the word sterilize, but you go, you step back, and then you're like, all right, so take a deep breath, look around, you take in some sun. All right, go back in.
Yeah.
It's balance. It's all balance, dude. If you want to do it forever, you need to have some micro hobbies, some hobbies here and there to let you keep going, to manage that stress.
Dude, yeah, 100%. I mean, what is it for you right now in what you're doing, whether it's, it doesn't have to be like boxcar or boombox or, trap or house or whatever it is, but just in general, like what do you find really fun or really exciting about what you're doing right now?
Well, I've finally managed a way to work on myself, work on music, eat healthy, and do the music business side of it all in one day, comfortably. What I really enjoy doing is having that balance. So when I stop cycling or I stop going to the gym for a week, I am stressed out. I'm angry, dude.
Yeah.
I'm angry. And then the runner's high, the cycling high, like that's real. Like that's good. That's good for you. Or I think it is. So I really enjoy that group of like 4 things I do in the day. So some alone time, some music time, business time, and then just some fresh air. And cause dude, before COVID, it was 4 shows a week.
Yeah.
It was all music, all DJing. And honestly, less music. It was just DJing and edits.
Well, it's chaos, right? When you're that
time coding visuals and time coding the lights, pyro, just like no sleep. We have a crew of just production people just traveling with airport life, hotel life, and you feel terrible, dude.
Yeah.
It's cool when you're like 22, 23, you're feeling great. It's awesome. Rock star stuff. You start hitting those numbers and it starts, paying, it starts tolling up.
Oh yeah, man. When you're doing, big shows too, right? Like these shows are productions. You and the team, like everybody's putting in a lot of work. It's not like you're just rolling up to the club,
Oh, dude, I miss just going in with a USB drive. Like, all right, what song am I going to open with?
Right.
Like, no, it actually it fully changed. You have to have the intro. You have to plan your intro at least 2 weeks in advance. So you could give your team enough time so we could program lights, visuals to it. Not only programming those lights and visuals to all of your songs and all of your edits, but you have to adapt the visuals to the stage design. So you have to, out of all of your lighting sequences, you have to assign everything to what each stage has.
Right. So yeah, even once you get everything locked in and synced to the right songs and the order, that's another thing, right? Is that every venue is a different shape, a different size. The screen might be a different dimension. There's so many little things that have to get changed for kind of every show on those bigger levels.
It's 24/7. All it is just re-rendering visuals, exporting stuff to a different pixel map. And then some of these festivals will give you the pixel map like 5 days before, 4 days before, and you're trying to render 4K footage overnight. You'll have 3 computers just rendering stuff nonstop, and people just crashing in the living room trying to get it done for Base Canyon or for whatever.
Yeah. You gotta it's like you're running a crypto mining operation,
It's so sus, man. Like my neighbors probably think I'm doing some really gnarly stuff.
Oh man. Well, where are you at with touring now? Because you've, at least so far, from what I've seen, the way you've talked about Boxcars, that it's kind of this self-contained thing where it's not like there's going to be a Boxcar world tour where you hit the road for 9 months kind of thing. Where's your head at just in general, whether it's Boxcar, Boombox, all that? Are you kind of looking at events like a little more, let's make each one intentional. Let's do special stuff.
Special stuff without leaving. I don't like leaving out the small towns. I'll go to random towns here and then.
I love doing that.
Dude, you gotta tap in. You gotta tap into with the people who are just starting off. That aren't the LAs. They'll get 7 festivals a week in LA, and they only get to see 1 festival a year that they have to drive 7 hours away. So if it's a local tiny venue that you want to try some songs out, I'll take it. I'll do those shows. I love that. But when it comes to the full production stuff, when it comes to the full set situation, we're only doing like special festivals. Well, mostly festivals that I haven't done before. There's some offers that keep coming in for the same thing every year, and I mean, it would be nice for me to just say yes. It honestly would be very comfortable and very nice, but I just don't see myself doing the same festival year after year after year. Even being a fan 10 years ago, almost 15 years ago, like, oh, they got so-and-so again. Oh,
yeah.
Like, it's just not good for anyone. I like trying new stuff, new rooms, new venues. My agent will always update me like, hey man, there's this new venue that opened up here. You want to give it a go? And we'll just tap in, dude. Just keep it fresh.
That's the way to be, man. And I think I've maybe said this to you before, but one thing I've always loved about what you do is I think you hold yourself to a very high standard for the project, which goes to everything, the music, the types of shows you do, the way you present it, all of that. And probably that's where some of the stress comes in too, is holding yourself to that. But I think it really does show when you look back at sort of the legacy you've built so far. I don't think I'm just up your ass if I'm saying that, like, I think it comes through in the way everything is presented. Like, I think even people who just roll up to some show in some small town or whatever, I don't know, something about the intention that an artist puts into the project, somehow people feel that. You know what I mean?
Thanks, dude. That's the goal. We make I want to make sure everyone's getting their money's worth. I want to make sure everyone's having a good time. We check in with the promoters, make sure, the sound is good, make sure the installation is good, make sure, security's not being an asshole to the festival goers, not the venue goers. And I think that goes a long way, man. It's because, rolling up with a USB, like some shows will be like that because, there's a lot smaller and whatnot. But when it comes to these big festivals, and I would be kind of upset seeing an artist just kind of show up kind of disheveled and kind of, I'm a little late. What's up? What's going on? What is everyone feeling? Like, what do you mean what's everyone feeling, dude? Like, play the good stuff. And your shit better be like lined up with the visuals. Like, look at all of these fixtures. There's $1 million on this stage right now.
Yeah.
Put that thing to work. And then they just put like kaleidoscopes and they just mirror everything and it's just all half-assed.
Yeah.
I hate that, dude. I mean, if you're starting off and you can't afford it, like, dude, more power to you. But some of these really established acts that just kind of don't like take the time to like put the effort, like, it grinds my gears, and I mean in a respectful way, but
no, I know what you mean, man. I know what you mean, because you got to put yourself in the shoes of the person watching it, who's, been watching all the other acts on that stage that day. And, if you're just up there, it's just like one of those things, like the stage is the stage. You can't let the stage overshadow you, Yeah.
Yeah. And for Boxcar, we're only doing lights. For Boxcar, no LED walls. We're going to turn all that thing off.
Good. I like that.
We're bringing in extra lights.
Are you going to do a bunch of shows? Like, or as much as you want to say, like, are you taking it on the road a little bit?
After that show, man, we were only going to do that one show, but after that show, we're like, dude, let's start opening this up. We have a cool little like stage idea. We have a cool vibe for it. These like remixes, these like edits, like I'm looking at the folder and I'm like, okay, I think we got something here. Like I have an hour and a half worth of music of all just originals for Boxcar or remixes. Like all just work like that. I'm super excited and seeing Olivia excited too. Like playing these songs and then she's like, wait, play it again. Or like play it again. Like play it again. I'm like, wow, you want me to play it again? Because, hearing obviously like if you play Moon Love every night, if you play Moon Love every night, you're like, all right, dude, this is cool, but like, cut it out. So just super, like such a refreshing like sound, and we're excited about that. So the goal is to keep going with it. I think we're getting some good feedback, and when the album comes out on the 30th, June 30th, I guess we'll find out if we have to take off with it or just fully kill it. So.
That's right, man. That's right. I think it's going to be good, man. And everything I've heard, I love it, man. I love you're doing it. And just in general, man, it's really good to see you. Before we get out of here, is there anything else that we haven't talked about? Anything else that's on your mind or you want to get out there?
Dude, I just want to say that just people should just try stuff. Like, let it fail, let it happen. I know a lot of young talent is like, oh, the rollout of my song, and I'm going to do, like, dude, the fans will decide that for you. Like, that's the free PR is people will tell you it's garbage or it's sick.
Yeah.
That's it. I was very scared back in the day of failing. And I've learned to not care about if I fail, you know what? That's fine. Now I could eliminate that, and then I could do this a little different. That's about it, man.
And I think it's a thing probably we should say more as, not old guys, but we're in terms of like EDM, maybe we're old guys at this point. And, young people growing up, I mean, they were looking at their likes at 10 years old. You know what I mean? And I think that kind of mentality, I don't know. I mean, again, who cares what I have to say, but it's like, somebody's got it. No, but I'm just saying, like, you talk about digital pollution. Like, this is just one opinion in a million opinions, but I do think hopefully somebody needs to hear a voice saying, like, none of that is real. None of that matters, and like, if there's something you think is cool, just do that thing. That's all it really is.
Oh, it is, man. And also don't believe everything you see out there too, man. There's a lot like that image you have of your whatever you want to be. Question it, man. Like there's a lot of tricks in this industry that you shouldn't just fall for it right away. Question everything and like, hey, this is kind of weird. Yeah. And you figure it out, man. You'll find the deeper meaning because there's a lot of hacks in this industry, man. And ultimately the best thing you could do is have sick music and have fun.
Yeah, that's the only thing. And you, in fact, you have to have sick music. All the other stuff is great, but if the music isn't there, it's only going to take you so far,
Hell yeah, man. I miss you, buddy. I hope all is well.
I miss you too. Yeah, same to you, man. Tell Olivia I said hi. And that's it, man. It's great to talk to you. Thanks for doing this again.
Brother, keep crushing it, man. I love listening to these, man. I'll download some for the flight, and it's so entertaining. It's so helpful for like a headspace situation, and I think artist psychology is something very important that we don't have anything. We don't have guilds, or we don't have like a crew of people to be there for us, but we all just got to stick together and just talk it out. Because if we're all going through something.
Amen, man. Amen. Yeah, this is the secret of this podcast is it's as much for me as it is for anyone else. Yeah. All right, man. Well, I love you. It's great to see you, man. I'll talk to you soon. All right.
It's a pleasure, man. Have a beautiful day.
All right, you too. Peace, buddy.
Later.